What's going on, everyone? Coach Jason here.
Coach Patrick.
We are back with another episode of the Mach 1 method. Today we're going to be chatting to you about something that might be uncomfortable for some people, and it's gym anxiety. And it shouldn't really be that uncomfortable because, at least to talk about, because I think we've all experienced it in some way, shape, or form. You know, some people experience it worse than others. But yeah, Pat, do you want to kick us off with any thoughts and ideas on maybe some experiences you had, whether personal or with clients, and maybe some strategies you've implemented in those scenarios on how to overcome it?
Yeah, so anxiety is completely all made up. So I'm just kidding. Gym anxiety,
After
though,
feelings.
we have empathy. Gym anxiety, though, is very common. I would say that most of the time, like whether it's a performance facility like this or and I think that comes with the understanding of like there's confidence and capability, and you're usually pursuing a gym because you are addressing some sort of health, fitness, performance deficiency, right? So
Right.
there's some sort of awareness that improvement needs to be worked on, and that's the reason for starting the gym. But you don't want to start the gym because you're in that deficiency and you feel you're not going to be able to keep up with everyone else at the gym, and people are going to be looking at you in terms of like a novice and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of anxiety comes around that whole speculation of what are other people going to think? Am I going to embarrass myself? So on and so forth.
Right. Get hurt.
Exactly. Risk injury and make things worse for yourself. And, there's a lot of unknowns. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to kind of misconstrue where their actual starting point is. And we referred to this in a previous podcast about like the philosophy about getting your driver's license. I think one of the best things you can do as someone who has gym anxiety is find a good coach, someone that's going to give you guidance, someone that's going to meet you where you're at, and make sure that you have some sort of understanding and familiarization, because like I said, coming back to it, there's confidence and capability. Knowing
Right.
what you can do is going to greatly increase your overall readiness to take on those exercises, to be able to essentially find the version of that exercise that's safe for you, and to allow you to practice the skill of exercise, which a lot of people tend to overlook.
Sure.
It's not just about sweat, it's not just about the burn, it's about the skill of exercise and mastering that craft. So I think starting off with that and getting that guidance from a coach is a good way to prevent that gym intimidation or anxiety.
Yeah, I think, kind of wrapping that all up, you hit the nail on the head, I think. Like the capability, the fact that the gym is a skill set, and I don't think a lot of people view the gym and training and exercise as a skill. And if anything, you apply it to any sort of skill. If you're bad at it, you're probably going to have a performance anxiety about it. So until you get better at it or good at it, it's hard to overcome it. Right? I remember when I first got a gym membership, my dad brought me in with a couple of his friends, and one of the first things like his friend had me do, it was like one of those hammer strength chest press machines.
Classic.
Yep. And of course he was using it the wrong way, and he was doing a standing shoulder press with it.
Okay.
Also classic retro fitness vibe.
Yep.
Like dad making up a workout type shit. But he has me doing like whatever weight he was doing on. He's like, oh, let me lighten it up for you. And he was maybe doing like a 45 or 2, right? And he's like, oh, I'll put on like a 25. And like, my weak 14-year-old self could barely do it. And like, that was like the first thing I did in the gym. And it was like the first thing I tried, I failed at it. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, this
is so scary.
Yeah, I was like, I suck at this. Like, I'm weak. Like, it was like an immediate, like,
discouraged.
Immediately discouraged. It was just an immediate, like, validation to me in that point. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm weak. Like, not only do I don't even know if I can get better at this. Like, I just thought in my head, like, that moment, like, I'm never going to be good at this. And like, not that I'm that strong now, but like relatively speaking, but like, you know, now I've gotten a lot stronger, right? And I stuck with it. But how did I get over that hump? Again, kind of referring back to what you said, like the summer after that, my dad got a personal trainer for me for like 2 months.
Yep.
And that gave me a lot of confidence in showing me things that I was able to do. I was like, oh, I'm not that weak. I can get stronger. I can get better. And then after those 2 months working with the coach, you know, then I started training on my own, and like I gained a lot of confidence in like, okay, like I could do this. I could navigate the gym a little bit more comfortably on my own. I could see what other people are doing. And now I'm not so embarrassed to pick up on it, try it myself, maybe ask them like, oh, how do I do that? Or what do I do? And like start asking for help and things like that. So that was like my first like exposure to that gym anxiety.
Yeah, and honestly, like what you showcased there is you started above your means, right? You didn't have that right starting point. You had that like, well, they just watched me fail. Should I even be here? Am I strong enough to be here? Am I in shape enough to be here? Like all those reasons that people have those gym anxiety was just blasted to you on your first experience, right?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people either anticipate that or have experienced it firsthand themselves, and that's where a lot of that community comes from, of like, hey, we're all in this together, we're all figuring it out on our own. And if you go to a gym, most of the time people feel very similar in that regard of like, hey, we're just figuring it out together, like I hope no one's watching me, like, because everyone is kind of self-conscious in their own way when they're first getting started, right? And I think when you think about like the least amount of resistance when it comes to fitness, and then like the most intimidating, it's so opposite in nature, but it's actually like, just to kind of elaborate, if you're afraid to go to the gym, where do you usually start? I'm going to start at home. I'm going to start running. Like I'm going to get in shape first. And then you think about powerlifting, which is like slamming plates. We have chains. We have, you know, people grunting and sweating and like, you know, high intense. Like that's intimidating, you know, or Olympic lifting where we're throwing weights overhead and slamming it on the ground almost intentionally, right? Like that's intimidating. But running compared to both powerlifting and Olympic lifting is like, I forget the exact number off the top of my head, unedited, by the way, straight to the source, off the dome. It's like 55 or 60% more likely to be injured from running than you are from Olympic lifting or powerlifting.
I'd say to that point too, it's probably not that running is inherently that much more dangerous. It's just either way, you're talking about going into something unguided.
You,
I think that injury
it's a skill, right? It's a skill just like the gym is.
Yeah.
You probably haven't ran since middle school gym class.
Right, the presidential fitness test.
Yeah, like you're 30, 40 years old. You haven't ran more than to the bathroom since you were 12.
Right.
And you want to go out and run a mile or a 5K, and you're just like, okay, my knees, my back, my everything hurts now.
Right.
Because like you lose the skill if you don't use it, right? There's also a lot of mobility and strength and endurance and stuff associated with running, which if you're getting started into something, that's usually a poor recommendation. It's like, let's go run, right?
Yeah.
Where
you need to start with like most like good professionals are going to recommend starting from strength training.
Exactly.
Right?
And then that ties into what I was going to get into with powerlifting and Olympic lifting is foundational movement patterns, pre-assessing your squat mobility, your press mobility, your shoulder stability, stuff of those, regressions and progressions to meet you where you're at. So if you can't squat, do a box squat. If you can't box squat, do a sit to stand. Like there's different ways you can get started and build up your strength and tolerance.
Yep.
And then from there, there's usually a great community around that as well. Like the heavier you lift, the more of a teddy bear you are in a way. Like
Yeah.
you're encouraging people to go on that strength journey.
Absolutely.
Like I've never seen someone who can bench like 800 pounds be like that angry guy. They're always like, "Oh, you got it. Let me spot you."
Anyone that
You know,
could bench 800 pounds.
equipped.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, like they're usually the first one to go over and offer you a spot and encourage you and give you technique and tips. Like they want you to excel, right?
I think that's also really important to bring up, is that the thing that can give people anxiety in the gym is the intimidation factor. And I think for the most part, a lot of people who are experienced in the gym came from a starting point similar to those people experiencing the beginner anxiety and are very supportive, helping beginners out.
Yeah.
So, but one thing I do want to kind of touch on really quick, because I feel like we oftentimes come back in this podcast like about get coaching, seek a professional, and like I don't want it to come across like we're just sounding like just promoting like, hey, come do our service, right? But at the end of the day, if you have a problem, you go to see someone to fix it. If you have a mental health problem, you see a psychologist. You have a car problem, you see a mechanic. You have a plumbing issue, you see a plumber. But as soon as you have a gym or a fitness problem, you go to Google, or like
WebMD.
Right, exactly. Like, so when talking about seeing a coach and speaking to a professional, like obviously we're here for the people, but it could be anyone, right? And that really is a genuine recommendation of what your starting point should be. And for a lot of the reasons you and I mentioned, that could help eliminate a lot of that initial gym anxiety. And likely, if you're going to be paired with or speaking with and working with a professional, you're going to be integrated into a community of people who are supportive and not lowering your risk of engaging with a toxic community, even though there's really not a lot of it in my experience. But you're going to definitely lower your risk of it when you engage with a coach, because they'll probably link you up with some of their clients and say like, oh, like I have a client going through the same thing, like you want to talk with them and stuff like that.
And to that point as well, like sometimes coaching comes at an expense and not everyone can afford it, right? We're very aware of that. So if you do take the more affordable route and you want to kind of self-discover your fitness journey, less is more, right? Foundational movement patterns, push, pull, squat, hinge, carry. Get good at those 5 skills, whether you do it on a machine first, whether you do it body weight, whether you do it with dumbbell, barbell, kettlebell. Find the tool that works for you. Make sure you're doing it safe. Film yourself if you are doing it at home so you can watch back, or do it in front of a mirror. So that way, if it looks weird to you, it probably looks weird to everyone else. If it looks good to you, everyone else is probably going to be impressed, right? So, do these things potentially on your own, whether it's private or at the gym, and then
there's
build
a lot
that
of really
foundation.
quick, there's a lot of really, or a lot of free like forums on like Reddit or Facebook where it's like, check my form. Right. Like, and to anyone listening, you could send us your videos too. We're happy to take a look and give you some feedback.
Slide in the DMs.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Slide in the DMs. But if it's not us, again, like there's plenty of resources online where you can take advantage of a community. And that's maybe another avenue to take advantage of in overcoming any gym anxiety you might have, is integrating into a community in general.
And I'd say another takeaway on this is you start your health and fitness journey for you, not for anyone else.
Absolutely.
Everyone else's opinions should not have an impact on how you do your training. Maybe motivation and inspiration, but no sense of like deterrence of you. Like it shouldn't devalue you and your training philosophies or your programs, because you're doing it for you and your goals. So like at the end of the day, like put your headphones on, throw your hoodie on, just
get to work.
And then in 30 to 60 minutes, you'll leave feeling accomplished.
Absolutely. So really quick finishing note, I guess, for the people is like, I think that's a great kind of note to end on, is like, if you're worried about starting, just start, right?
Best time to plant a tree.
Yesterday.
Well, 20 years
20
ago.
years up
But the next best time, today.
today.
There we go.
There we go. I knew the saying.
It was there. You know?
It was
It makes
there.
sense.
Those damn Japanese folklore saying idioms.
To tree or not to tree.
But, of course, reach out to us if you have any questions about this. In general, we're more than happy. All of the coaches at Mach 1, we're happy to be there for anyone struggling with anything related to anxiety in the gym. Quick final note, we are coming up on the 25th episode of the podcast where we are going to be doing an Q&A. So any questions you want us to answer on that episode, drop it in the comments, send it to us in a DM, check our Facebook stories. We're going to be polling for some questions to do on that halfway point of the year episode.
Yeah, we're already starting the list, so feel free to add to it. We'll pick and choose as much as we can get done within that episode. So no question is off limits unless it needs to be censored.
Be careful with what you say on the internet.
All right, anything else on that?
I think Mach 1's out.
Mach 1 out.
Boom.